Welcome everybody to a codezing.org project. This project is a level 1 project called Counting Sheep. To get the code, you can head on over to the website. The website's codezing.org. If you click on level 1 code, the first project is Counting Sheep. In the box, you can get a sense of what this project's going to do. So if we enter a number, say 5, and we count, you're going to get the next number, number 6, and a nice little sheep. And if you click again, you get the next number 7, and so on, 8, 9. So to get the code for the project, we're going to head down to the bottom, and you can click on the show code, copy and paste, and then we're going to head over to our Spyder IDE. If you don't have Spyder IDE, if you haven't downloaded Python yet, head back to the website and follow the links to get the code. If we paste the code in, you're going to see that it's only 3 lines long to get this to function, and if we just run it with the little run arrow, we're going to see over here it's asking for our starting number. We put 8 and hit enter, and we get the next number is 9. If we want to do it again, the number is 100, we get 101. So let's take a look at the code and see how it's making all that happen. So first, the first line is taking a variable called number and assigning it to our input. So input is the way we get Python to ask a question. So you can see that the text here, enter starting number, is what pops up on the screen. And when we send back 100, it's going to set the variable number equal to 100. So just to show you that that's happening, they print number is number. So this print function will send this statement to the display here. So let's try it now that I added that. Enter our starting number, 100, and we can see number is 100. Alright, it's easy enough. And then the next line in our code here, number plus equals 1. Now that looks odd because we've got the plus first here. It's just a simplified way of doing this. If we do number equals number plus 1, that is going to be the same as number plus equals 1. It's just a shorter, simpler way. We use counters so much in Python that they came up with a little shortcut. So plus before the equals 1 adds 1. You can also do minus equals 1, which will decrease the number. Let's try that. So starting number is 100, and we get 99. So it's doing the minus equals 1. This last step in the code, print the next number is, comma, and then the number. So notice that in both of these, the words that you want to come out on the display have to be in quotes. They can be double quotes or single quotes, but it can't be mixed. So this is fine. If you do single quotes or you do double quotes, that's fine. If you do a mix, we're going to see it gets upset and throws an error. So you can see that it had trouble figuring out where the end of our statement was, because it's still looking for the end of this quote. So it's starting the quote, it's scanning the line, looking for the end of that quote, and it doesn't get there, and so it says end of the line while scanning string literal, meaning it never really found the end of what it was looking for. But if we change that to a single quote and run it, you can see that's perfectly fine. Same thing up here. If we mix them, we're going to have trouble. Same thing. Couldn't find the end of our line. So single or double quotes are fine, but no mixing. Put in another number. Great. It's still working. 799. All right. There's a second little piece here. This int with the brackets that's enclosing this piece. So what is this doing? It's changing our input, the number that we're inputting here. So for the last run it was 800. It's changing that into a number. And so what it actually is trying to do with just input is it gives you a string back, which means just the text, and it doesn't recognize it as a number until we put it within these little int brackets. And an int is an integer, just short for integer, and an integer is any whole number, positive or negative. So no fractions, no decimals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, -2, -3. Those are all integers. And let's see what happens when we get rid of int, just to see why that's important. So let's see if I do print number after I put it in. So let's run it. Try 800 again, and we can see that it had trouble dealing with that. But before it gave us this error, we can see that it gave us back 800. So it did receive the 800, but not as the right type. So if we say print type number, we run that again, it's going to error out. But before it does, it's going to tell us that that 800 is a string. So it's not recognizing that as a number. So with our int in here, when we run that and put in 800, we can see that now it says this is a class int. So it's taking our input, recognizing it as a number, printing out the number, printing out the type of the number is right here, and then it makes it to the end. The next number is, and we're doing minus equals, so it's subtracting 1. Alright, so kind of cool, pretty simple, but introduces some interesting, some basic points. Now you can play around with it some. You can change the text in here, because this is just the question, and that doesn't affect the output, right? The text there is just for the user to know what to do. So I could put, what is your name, right? But that is not going to work out well, because then they're going to enter their name, and if my name is Bob, I'd put that in, and it would say I can't subtract 1 from Bob. Bob minus 1 isn't doable, so it's not sure what to do there. But that's exactly, it's just going to print out whatever you put in those brackets. So if I put blobly, if I put blobly in there, right, it's going to say blobly, and the user is not going to know what to do at all. So you want to put something meaningful in there, but it doesn't necessarily change what's happening. Because like if I put in 800 for blobly, it's fine with that. It does exactly what we told it to do. It subtracts 1. But the user isn't going to know that you need a number. So we got to put something meaningful in there. But it doesn't really matter what it is. Enter number, right? We can also change what it's going to do here. We're just subtracting 1, but you could subtract 100. And if we run that and put in our 800, we're going to get 700. Makes sense. If we switch that back to plus equals, when we put in 800, what are we going to get? We're going to get 900, of course. And the same thing with this last statement. When you call print, all you're telling it to do is to display this. So if we don't do print, and you can if you put a hash in front of your statement, the computer will just ignore it, treat it as a comment. So they're great for putting in notes in your code, but it doesn't actually consider it part of the code when it's running it. So we can do this, and if we don't put the print in, do 800, and it completes the program. It has done what we asked it to do. It set number to 800 plus 100, but we don't know that. It's just keeping that in its memory, and it's not showing it to us, but it doesn't mean it's not there. And so this print statement just makes it visible to us. And it's this text, the next number is, and then a comma to separate the string we want it to print out from the variable. So of course you can change this to whatever. Right? You can change this to Blobbly again, and it will put that out, but it'll just say Blobbly 900. Right, so you can change with what it says. So you can say plus 100 is, if you want it to be a little more descriptive of what exactly is happening here. So you enter a number, it says plus 100 is 900. So you can give your user a little bit more feedback of what exactly is happening here. I think we'll end it there. A lot of fun stuff you can do. You can play with the text in the print statement or in the input statement. You know, we need this int here to turn it into a number. You can change the formula, what it's doing in here. One other thing that's kind of cool. So this variable is also just whatever you want it to be, right? I chose number because it's a number, but you can make it anything. You can make this Blobbly, right? The trick is that the next number also needs to be Blobbly. You can see it's already given me a little undefined name number. It doesn't know what number is because I'm setting this now to Blobbly. So if I do print Blobbly, I'm going to run this. I enter my number 800 and it prints 800 because I set Blobbly to 800. And it's also iterating my number to plus equals 100. It still remembers this number that I set, and so it's adding another 100 to the 900 to equal 1,000. So you need to be careful with your variables that you're naming them consistently. So let's say that I call all of this Blobbly, right? And my number, say 100, is now 200. I wonder if it still remembers number. Let's see. I think since I haven't reset it, it probably will, but let's see. Right, 200, yep. So 200 plus 100 is 300, and it still remembers that number from up here is 1,000. So you gotta be careful with your variable names. They need to be something that's meaningful. If I gave you this code, you might just get stuck on what is Blobbly, and it makes it hard to figure out what's going on. So you want to use useful names. You can call it like user input if you want. I would also note that when you make a variable, you can't put spaces, so it can't be user input. It's going to get tricked. It thinks that that's two separate things. So a lot of people, to make a space, use the underscore. And that's if you hold shift and then up near the backspace, you'll see the hyphen. Is that a hyphen? And if you hold shift, you get the underscore. So if you put an underscore, then this whole thing is one variable. So use underscores to if you want multiple words, or some people do like this user input where they put a capital for the next word. You know, programming is definitely something that's customizable, something that you make it what you want it to be. You know, that's why you can play around with all this stuff. That's why I like computer coding, and hopefully why you're doing it too. So feel free to play around, change all the variables, change all the stuff, and if you run into an error doing something like that, it'll tell you. You can go back, fix it up. If you destroy your code and it's just unfixable, you can't figure out what is wrong with it, you can always go back to the website, copy, and paste back in the original code and start again. There's no problem doing that. So feel free to fool around and have fun doing it. Let me know if you find out anything cool. Feel free to email me. Email me your code if you come up with something cool or a new thing you discovered that the Python can do. Love to see it. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again on the next one.